U.S. Secret Service agent from the Vice President JD Vance's security detail is apparently under investigation. It concerns allegations of leaking sensitive information, the agency not commenting on the specifics, but says the agent has been suspended and placed on administrative leave as that probe unfolds. So some mystery in that move.
Well, like I said, what the fuck is wrong with the Secret Service?
All kinds of things, apparently. So,
right. You think this guy woke up one day and said, I'm going to leak this stuff on my own for no reason? Or
I kind of feel like he's being hung out to dry for doing the dirty work of others.
Yeah.
Like I think it was a shot across the bow from the administration quietly, maybe even Susie Wiles saying, oh, you're going to go on Joe Rogan, huh? Oh,
you think it's that
deep? A pain in the ass.
Wait. You think it's a shot across Advance as opposed to the Secret Service?
Well, this is the Secret Service. Somebody has to go hang for it, but I think that the Secret Service.
You're saying the original.
Correct.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you there. That could very well be. But according to MS Now, which is apparently a source that Breitbart likes to cite for reasons I don't understand, said that Trump has endorsed privately JD Vance.
Okay.
But the source is so sketchy. I don't know why Breitbart is even putting it up there. I looked and I go, MS Now.
Privately? What the fuck does that mean? That's like
they said he has made up his mind that Vance is his successor, is the headline. I mean, it's a pretty big story today.
Okay. Well,
I don't believe it, but again, when a conservative site cites a far left site, it's problematic in general.
Well, okay. We've got this issue when you say conservative. What would you call the Daily Caller?
I would say conservative. I think that everything that's not CNN
now is it as conservative? Would you call him conservative? We have so many problems on the right that I think you kind of have to step back. I mean, Breitbart is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon has been kind of waffling all over the place. I don't know where he is.
Oh, no. I'm not getting into the weeds about the whole conservative movement. I'm just saying the source that they're citing is so far left as to be not credible. It could have come from, I have never seen that done, regularly, where Breitbart would cite, some source that far left as some credible storyline.
No, I agree. And by the way, here's JD in 2019. I happened to see this earlier. It's kind of fun.
I did this event at the Yale Federalist Society recently where they asked me for my 3 favorite Democrats purely in terms of policy outcomes. And I said, in order, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Tulsi Gabbard. I did this event at the Yale Federalist.
There you go.
Is he being sarcastic or what do you think?
No, he was being serious. I mean... And the thing is that if you listen to some of the interview, he's saying a lot of interesting things. It's like, wait a minute, I quote Ben Shapiro because people lose their heads, but he's quoting a lot of Bernie Sanders type of mentality here. That everything is screwed, etc. It is
weird,
not really Republican, if you will,
but what we're seeing now,
or conservative, sorry. And I've got this. I think you shared this with me. People love when we talk about two-way and Mark Halperin. So here's Mark Halperin, everybody. No.
But what we're seeing now with people lashing out at JD Vance, some of it over Israel, some of it over his character, some of it over a feeling that he's not the right person to carry on the Republican legacy. Nobody thinks I shouldn't say nobody. Few people think it's not because he's not MAGA enough. It is, as JD Vance defenders say, it is largely the establishment who sees, in some cases, the opportunity to break the Trump grip on the Republican Party, to go back to a Republican Party that they liked before. They see that opportunity to say, JD Vance is not the right person to be the next president, to be the next nominee. And JD Vance isn't kowtowing to that. He's not catering to that. He's not trying to ameliorate it, at least not publicly. What he did on Rogan, and again, he's been on paternity leave largely since then. What he did on Rogan is that's the real JD Vance, saying things other people won't say.
which, okay.
Well,
And
I mean, to his credit and to not his credit, Mark is oblivious to the schism within MAGA that's going on. He's so far removed from it that he just looks at MAGA as a monolithic, everyone gets along kind of thing. He does not see the fight between regular MAGA and the Tucker madman, demon, Jew-hating, extreme woke right MAGA. And he's oblivious to that. So anything he says regarding this, I have to take with a grain of salt because he doesn't even know what's going on.
that's true. But I mean, he does sit there with Larry O'Connor every day, and Larry O'Connor is extremely well aware in it and informed, and, he's kind of vacillating himself because, again, you don't want to burn down one thing over the other. But you can see that this is all coming out. So you have that endorsement, the secret endorsement that you're talking about, which to me is a counter because, here's Washington Post, obviously not a right-wing publication.
Right.
I said this to you earlier, but it's true. Knives are out for Vance right now. People are not happy with what he said on Joe Rogan and things like that, but they're responding with the age-old, it's an op.
Oh, that's insane. Right. That's just insane. I don't blame the Washington Post or the left for going after him. He's the heir apparent based on the polls, Eric. So when you got the midterms coming up, right after the midterms, which is only 100 days out, it's going to be all 2028, 24 hours a day. So the Washington Post attacking Vance. Let me tell you something. If Rubio was in the lead, they would do the same thing.
Well, and also, so much attention has been drawn right now between the war of the DSA and the Democratic Party. Washington Post obviously is happy to take the
good point.
reframe. Hey, let's talk about JD Vance now.
Right. That's a good one. But I mean, you can't do 3 hours on Rogan and not be talked about, when you're the vice president of the United States.
I agree. And how many VPs though have done that within their first 2 years? I mean, Biden was in the basement as a VP forever, and he was just kind of go talk to the Senate for a while, keep busy. Kamala Harris was sent down to embarrass herself at the border, but didn't really do much of anything. Even, Dick Cheney, he was doing a lot behind the scenes, but you didn't see him out there. Who out of all the VPs that you can remember, who were giving 3-hour interviews within the first 2 years of a presidency and potentially contradicting their own boss?
Well, the only thing that's relevant, it's a lame duck administration, and he's the leader to succeed the lame duck. So that's the major takeaway from the thing. He could sit there in the White House and do nothing, or he can campaign during a book tour. So something's got to give because he's up against people who are going to be selected from their own Democratic convention, and there's going to be a convention in the Republicans, that's 2 years away. So who's going to campaign? You got some nibbling from Ted Cruz, he's going
to run. I think it's pretty
okay. Well, I'm saying you've got people sticking their toe in, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis has been kind of quiet. I haven't, gotten that, but Ted Cruz, you could see the posturing and everything else, and he's also going after, Vance.
Well, like I said, it's a lame duck administration, and somebody's got to succeed him. But as I said to you, that graphic poll that they put up of Rubio catching up to Vance in the span of a very short period of political time, making up a 20-point gap in favorability to be the next president or nominee. Wow.
I mean, it is impressive, but then it can't be completely surprising because if you think about it, he's been given every job in the world. And with that, it's sort of like, okay, he's reporting for this job. He's in the headlines. He reports for this job. He's in the headline. Because every damn job has some, degree of importance.
Well, he could have fucked up every single job too, and had his career over.
Oh, of course. But I'm just saying that I think it keeps him in the conversation. Again, unusually, I've never seen a Secretary of State
Hillary Clinton
told all these.
Hillary Clinton.
She had how many jobs?
Well, I'm saying as Secretary of State being out in front.
Oh, I understand that, but not being the NSA and this department and that and this and that.
That's just a lack of loyal people around Trump. But take a look at these numbers that Eric put up here. Look at July 2026. He's now within 10 points. He had a 51-5 split a year ago over Marco Rubio. And they're trying to tell me that Vance is the natural successor. I find this hard to believe based on the numbers that I'm looking at right now. I mean, this is, if I looked at this with just generic names, I would just say whoever that 51% guy has had a complete collapse of his political career.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're taking the names off the page. I mean,
No,
how do you catch someone from 5% to 51% in the span of a year without the other person, murdering somebody?
This is true. Now, to be fair, there was that point when Donald Trump was on the ropes and, everybody was talking about DeSantis and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the people, who are critical of Vance right now, it has been pointed out, were DeSantis supporters as well. And they weren't comfortable with Trump. They did get on board with Trump, but
I think it's two different groups. I think the group you're talking about is absolutely correct, but there's also the anti-Tucker, anti-demon, anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic group that is terrified of having Tucker in the White House and Tucker's son back at work for JD Vance, and the whole mystical demonology that Tucker and him talk about. People are creeped out by that, Eric.
Oh, I agree. And
separate from the people you're talking about.
Well, okay, but I want to put everything out there, and acknowledge it. One thing about that, though, I think that the message is getting to Vance because, from what I understand, they're doing there's maybe a new chief of staff that's going to be coming on board.
That's true.
Some changes in the comms department on that.
That's true.
I'm looking for his, a little bit of a pivot. He threw all this out. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden he's completely online, 100% with Trump for a while, because he already kind of laid all the groundwork of look, this is who I am. I'm, I'm this Catholic who's very deep into this whole thing here. Here are my bona fides. I don't like the Jews, and and I'm not saying that's because he's Catholic. Don't hold that on me. I'm just saying he's quoting late 1800s Catholic priests and philosophy. And he
certainly gave Cruz and or Rubio enough talking points and sound bites for commercials. Just had that Rogan thing, or whoever his enemies are.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting. And I don't even know who, where they would be, because I believe he and Rubio are personal friends.
Everybody's a personal friend until it gets ugly. But I thought about that Huckabee thing you said last week, and I think he would be a good running mate for Rubio.
Sarah.
I know. I was thinking of Mike. I'm talking about Mike.
Oh, Mike is great too, but I was saying, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Right. No. I understand with your opinion. I'm just adding that I think Mike Huckabee has stood up and defended the Trump policies really well, and may deserve a shot at it.
Yeah. I agree.
It also would offset the evangelical wing that's backing Cruz if you put an evangelical into the second VP slot, is what I'm thinking. Also, just in terms of pragmatism.
But by the way, that also could work well with Vance, because Vance is a Catholic, having an evangelical.
Well, they're fighting though. They're kind of
VP.
fighting. Yeah. I mean, his support. He has kind of been critical of Vance though. Huckabee over Israel, so that's a bone of contention there.
Right. Sometimes I have to look at the chat, and I think it's funny. All right, here we go. Paul Henry, good to see you, Paul. He's regular. These guys are on the wrong subject right now. And
what should I be on?
I don't know, but
why does this guy get his own fucking show? What does he care what we're doing?
Well, no, this is the part that I thought was amusing. He just said, James Files blew the lid off the CIA involvement in JFK and other murders. So if that, thank you.
My God.
These are your qualifications. Well, that answers.
We're on the wrong subject now. We got to go to James Files for the Secret Square.
James,
what a clown!
Sutton,
what a clown!
Is it? I think originally James Sutton,
Willie Sutton,
the felon. Yeah. Anyway,
on the wrong subject. The subject should be: are we going to go crazy militarily this weekend in Iran?
I'm not sure. I don't know. at this point. What do you think?
It certainly looks like it. But then again, late today, Trump played the taco card and said the talks are going great. So I had to tell you that because I couldn't believe what I was fucking reading 10 minutes ago.
Well, he also
I can't take much more of this yo-yo geopolitical politics, Eric. I mean, does he not know how frustrating and wearing down his base this is? Either bomb the living shit out of him or get out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. And then that's the other problem is that he's making the deal with Saudi Arabia. And I feel like people caught up with him. And then suddenly he was like, oh, yeah. But they've got to sign on with the
Well, that was a
I think that was after the fact.
That was a trial balloon. That was a trial balloon.
I
mean, he does float like every president trial balloons out there to see which way the wind blows. And I think that was one of them. But bombing the shit out of Iran is not a trial balloon. They're either going to take out all of this stuff or they're not. I mean, at some point, you can't keep crying wolf.
Well, and my thing is, I don't know if it's working.
I don't know.
It's it's like I hate the fact that the intelligence I feel is very murky and filtered through everybody's opinion. So, 1 minute it's like, oh my God, they're desperate. Their economy's in the toilet. And the next minute it's like, holy shit, they rebuilt the bridge in 2 days.
Yeah.
They're rebuilding like they're ants.
They're shooting themselves in the foot over this stuff because their credibility is wearing thin. The contradictions, even though they may be intelligent, motivated propaganda towards the enemy, the American people have to digest the same sound bites, Eric, that he is directing towards the IRG.
I think you misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm saying that it is being reported. That's not coming from him. That's coming from everywhere else. And I just don't know.
You're talking about the incoming propaganda.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know if it's correct either, but it's a free market economy of propaganda. Where anybody can fire shots into the mainstream media and get some traction out of it, Eric.
Yes, we have that, and we're in a day too, or the days now of AI and whatnot, where even what you see, you can't believe. Did this actually happen? Did that person get wounded? Do they have 5 or 6 fingers? You just don't know what is real. And the articles are being written by AI. They're generated, they're spit out. AI itself is having to get corrected and you arguing. Anyway, it is a very frustrating situation. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't. Now we've got follow up on citizens.
Whoa.
Or non-citizens. I'm sorry, non-citizens who are voting. We talked about this some, and we have more coming up with Harmeet Dillon is getting into the mix now. I don't know if you saw this, but
referral also by Jim Jordan of Jack Smith to the DOJ this morning.
Oh yeah, that
criminal referral.
Yeah, that was like yesterday, the day before, and all I thought was, oh great, another referral that we can just go.
I'd like to get some referrals from these people. They're giving out so many referrals.
Well, that's referring. Does that mean they're prosecuting? It's like,
well, that's up to the people who receive the referral, I guess.
Well, exactly. And for example, how many referrals did Tulsi Gabbard give?
1 million.
Yeah, it just seemed like every other week, all the Russiagate referrals, this referral, that referral, this referral, and I haven't seen much coming out of it. Now, again, it might take 2 years. It might be the waning days of the Trump presidency before it happens, but it is kind of like, okay, another referral, another strongly worded letter, another. So it's kind of frustrating. But this is voter roll stuff. I think the New Jersey thing may get some legs and really hurt them.
Do you plan to take this fight to the Supreme Court?
Well, we do. It's actually closer to 30 states. 20 states have given us their voter rolls voluntarily, and we've found hundreds of thousands of people on those voter rolls who shouldn't have been there. Now, since the governor made this announcement, we've opened up an investigation. We asked her to disclose to us the names of the 6,600 individuals who were wrongfully put on the voter rolls, and then the 400 who voted knowing that they weren't entitled to. And today she hasn't responded to us yet, but she did tell the New York Times and others in New Jersey that she wasn't going to give us that information because, quote unquote, we would weaponize it and she doesn't trust us with the data. Well, who can't be trusted with data, Governor Cheryl? It seems like it's actually New Jersey, because these people said they weren't entitled to vote, and then you put them on the voter rolls in your state, blaming the vendor, calling it a glitch, et cetera. It is the job of the election officials, not some data vendor, to determine citizenship when they put people on the voter rolls. That's federal law. And it also sounds like, Liz, the state allowed these people to stay on the voter rolls for more than a year after they knew that they weren't legally entitled. That is a violation of federal law too, federal criminal law. So we're looking at this very carefully.
All right. So that's going on there. And
I mean, they're simply refusing to turn over these federal requests. I mean, they are quite willing to break the law no matter what happens, no matter what the law says. They do not give a fuck. Cheryl says it's going to be weaponized, so she decided to break the law. That was her political decision. She did not want to give what she perceives the Republican as a political weapon, so she's willing to violate the law of the land. I mean, there's got to be some sort of repercussions to that. You can't just say, oh, well, you know, I mean, she herself has to be indicted. That's where I'm going with this.
What I think will be interesting is apparently the software vendor came out and said,
oh, yeah,
nice try. Bullshit.
Yeah, no, he's denying it as well.
But I would like to see, because this is where things can shift. She's made these public claims as a governor. She didn't do it in front of Congress as a congressperson, you know, who has, you know, complete immunity. They can say whatever the hell they want.
Right.
She sat there and said that that product did this. And I wonder if he can't just sue her.
Absolutely.
And for this.
Well, look at Dominion did. Look what Dominion did to Fox News. It's like $1 billion lawsuit, right?
Right. So if maybe she can't give it to Harmeet Dillon, but if there's a lawsuit going on from the software vendor, we've got discovery. Let's see what happens. That could be an interesting thing. I think her election could be in jeopardy, and that's
because it was recent. It was recent.
Well, she claims that, you know, this was.
Why didn't it hurt her, the same vendor, a couple of months ago?
Exactly.
Why didn't it hurt her then?
Well, and also she said that it was only, 4,000, and now it's like maybe 30,000. There's questions of how many people it actually was and what's going on. And of course, she opens by projecting, which makes me think, oh, God, she's guilty as hell, because she's immediately saying, look at Donald Trump lying. It's like,
yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, you were literally in a press conference saying,
about your voting
by the way,
problems.
this happened.
Well, she's also denouncing a guy who has said that things like this most likely happened. So the first thing she does is denounce that guy as a liar, and then admits it happened.
Exactly.
It's kind of crazy. But she's some nutty fucking broad like the one in New York, Hochul, and yours, Spamberger, who have ended up running the lives of hundreds of millions of people.
I don't know. But I do know this. It is so difficult to keep up with everything, every story, every verbiage, all the crap they're saying. In order to do this, I need help. And I recommend for everybody coffee. Because to keep up with the stories, what do they say now? Oh, God, I'm tired. Oh, here, let me get a cup of coffee, and I can get a little bit alert, and I can stay with the stories. And you too can, we're helping you here. It's a public service. We have our own custom blends that are delicious and effective. The America's Untold Story Supreme Breakfast Blend and the Magic Bullet Blend, which is unreal. That's why it's a Magic Bullet Blend. Highly recommend it. You can point your phone right at the screen right now and order it, or just go to americasuntoldstories.com/coffee and get some of your own. I like to drink it black, no cream, nothing needed, no adulterations. It is quite delicious, and it does hopefully help you keep up. So back to the broadcast, and I am actually drinking a ton of coffee, trying to keep up with this stuff. But anyway, let me see. What do we have? Oh, this is a follow-up, and it was actually sent in from one of our locals members. And we've talked about locals before. You know, people can post articles on there and share content and things of that sort. Otto M posted this, and this is a continuation of the conversation we were having about the munitions and Iran and what the situation was. And you know, I had a theory, and I haven't, you know, gotten it, you know, not clear. It's just, you know, it's just my theory. And then you read something in the Washington Post. Apparently, this article has been out there for a couple months now. This is military.com, which is a bit more of a neutral source than the Washington Post. And it's
I just want to, am I on here? Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah.
I just want to interject that this is not military.com. It's an Associated Press article republished by military.com, thereby diminishing the credibility of the source. If you scroll down, I'm sorry, I didn't want to wait because I saw that also on locals, and which they're more than welcome to do. But I look at the Associated Press as the equivalent of the New York Times.
Okay. Well,
that doesn't mean it's not true. I'm just saying you got to look at the
that's
source.
fair.
Yeah,
you've got that. Good. I'm glad you pointed that out. That's cool.
Yeah.
But the salient point to the whole thing, this isn't yesterday. This is actually some time back.
Yeah.
That there were murmurings, there was talk about that, and it appears there is, you know, more going on. And Hegseth even said, "Hey, you know, we need more money because we got to make more munitions to keep up with what the hell we're doing."
Well, it's a constant refrain throughout American post-World War II presidencies, going back to Congress, always saying we need more money for the Pentagon. So that's you know, par for the course. But this was published not that long ago. It's still 2026, the end of May.
It's sure, but it's, you know, again though, it's not a leak 3 days ago or 5 days ago.
No, you're right.
You know,
If
almost 2 months old.
If you believe that, I again, I don't have evidence to the contrary. This is just my gut saying I don't believe it. So it could be true anyway.
My gut is from being in the military and looking around and seeing how things really are quite often. It doesn't surprise me. You know, you think that there's so much.
Well, then
more.
How are they going to attack Iran tonight?
Well, they've been building this whole time. I mean, you know, part of the pause, unfortunately, the MOU and all that pause, what did it allow Iran to do? Rearm, get some money through, rebuild.
I think getting money through, definitely with the oil.
But what do you think they do with the money?
I don't think that they have the, I don't know. I mean, if we could track shipments into Iran with satellites, I think we would be aware of that. And if they were rebuilding, I think we could be aware of that photographically, like Bobby Kennedy and Jack Kennedy did during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that technology is 65 years old. In terms of, you know, saying if I was JFK of today and the Iranians were rebuilding their things, I would simply show the American public, like the Cuban missiles from the Soviet Union, this is what's going on.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know, it's just my take on it.
So are you saying that they were not rebuilding? Because I think Israel said they absolutely were rebuilding. And
I don't know what rebuilding means. Because I think they purchased ballistic missiles from China, that they're built in China. That's why I'm saying if China is bringing them in via train or ship, I'd like to know about that, because I don't think the Iranians build them from scratch.
Okay, I think we're stuck on the word rebuilding. So how about rearming?
Okay, so that's my point. Then are the Chinese rearming the Iranians during the break? If they are, let's see the evidence of it. That's why I'm making the allusion to the Soviets bringing in missiles into Cuba and what Jack Kennedy did by exposing it with photographic evidence. If the Chinese, and people say they might be, let's get a look at it. How are they doing it? By that train line, Eric, that we found about a couple of weeks ago, that they were importing stuff via train. Then bomb the fuck out of the train.
You had a tanker.
Well, bomb the fuck out of the train line then and castigate the Chinese. I haven't seen that though.
Okay. Well,
the money, I believe, goes to the Chinese to buy stuff or other sources. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Chinese, but I think the Chinese are their biggest benefactor.
China, also, Russia's not exactly against them.
Well, I think they have their hands full at this time, so they may not be that, involved. But I think the Chinese are.
No, I'm sure they are. I mean, and I was trying to find it because I literally had a open source intel that was showing a vehicle that was smuggling in arms.
Okay, well, that's
they are
Cuban
they're getting
missile
it
crisis.
from somewhere. They're either shitting it out of the ground that was in there, or the drones and things like that they get it from somewhere. So
well,
they
that
either
guy
build
who
it
was on
themselves-
two-way at the end, I forget his name, Professor somebody or other, said that he indicated that they should have taken Carg Island the first 2 weeks of this adventure. And I thought the same thing. I mean, now you're talking about taking Carg Island. Now you're talking about blowing up bridges. Now you're talking about blowing up infrastructure.
Mhm.
I mean, this subtle, low-key, incremental thing may work with normal people, but not with, homicidal maniacs, Eric.
Well, I understand that, but again, that's what I'm trying to say. At the same time, and we got stuck on building everything else, the same time that there was a pause and that allowed them to regroup, pick a term, it also allowed us to stock up. The whole time that was going on, you don't think that we were manufacturing or obtaining
I don't know.
materials and things like that? I think
I don't know.
pretty logical that we were, and we have in the past. You take a pause and you build up, whatever you can. And I think that was even commented on, that while we are paused, what were we doing? We are moving forces. So, you take a few days off and you move a couple more ships over and things like that. So there's a lot of that going on, rejiggering, removing, things of that sort. So that's all I'm saying. And if it worked for them, could be us. But either way, it is frustrating, and it is Friday, so odds are
Good day to bomb.
well, he tends to
Bomb on the weekends, right?
bomb on Fridays, and
On Friday.
ideally before the stock market opens.
Right.
I mean, it is almost like, set your clock. It's like, okay, Friday evening, you got the weekend to get your bombing done, and then Monday you can announce a deal, and then the stock market will pop. Or, something like that. It feels like that sometimes.
Well, I also feel that whatever our bombing has done, whatever our tons of tonnage has done, it has not killed one Iranian. We have 18 dead Americans. Have you read anywhere where the Iranians said that you've killed us, where there's dead bodies? It seems like almost impossible to bomb at that level and not kill somebody.
I mean, well, it depends on where they are. If they've already abandoned the facilities, then that you're not going to get anybody in there.
Right.
And the problem is that this isn't their first rodeo. They've been at this for a while. They have a lot of underground, under mountains, all kinds of structural things like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, okay, I'm out of here. And that was part of my argument, that timing may have been rarer than people think, to have enough people in one consolidated area, because they're notoriously skittish, a little bit paranoid.
Right. Also, though, if you're giving them this Friday heads up, they could get out of the things as well.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which goes both ways. And I think that, unfortunately, Trump is getting caught in that almost kind, gentle warfare thing that we love to do so much of, like the whole, we got to hold the casualties. It's like, war is war. Either it's
not
all out
anymore.
war or it's not war. I mean, I hate to say it, but Sherman burning everything to Atlanta is kind of how war's supposed to go. So
In the old days.
Yeah.
I mean,
haven't
keep
done
in
it
mind,
since
this is the
Vietnam.
same.
I mean,
this is the same
yeah.
country that fought 8 years against Iraq.
Yes.
I mean, they're not opposed to entrenched, long, drawn-out warfare.
No, they're not. And if they don't care about their own people, they'll kill 40,000 of their own people anyway. I mean, it's like, that's just fewer mouths to feed, and it sort of works for them. I mean, I hate to say it, because, and you are right. I will have to look into that. I haven't seen a lot of deaths announced. I think
I know. I just thought about it. Like we have 18 dead. I have not seen one announcement of a dead Iranian.
Yeah, I mean, part of it could be that that's just the cost of business. They don't worry about that, but definitely no Iranians of note. I haven't heard of any commanders for a few weeks. I think there was one maybe a couple of weeks back.
Yes, there was.
But yeah, you're right. As far as that goes, and hold on, we've got a $50 super chat. Thank you very much. Happy Friday, guys. I have a question for him. I don't know which him. Probably you.
No, I think it's you.
I finished nearly all the JFK related videos. I was wondering if he, so it's got to be you, could give a succinct summary of how many shooters and shots you believe were in Dallas that day based on all of your research.
I'm going to let the videos speak for themselves. Thank you for the wonderful super chat, though. I really appreciate it.
That is very generous, but anyway, I forget what it was. I know we've covered it in at least some of the Q&As.
It's in a lot of the videos. You'll find it.
But thank you. And I want to go through a couple of these because I see that Lisa Franceschi is back, and Lisa,
thank you,
is a long-term, supporter. She hasn't been around for a while, and it's really welcome. It's wonderful to see her. She's actually a nature photographer out of New York. So great to see you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah, and okay, she said that she's been very ill.
Okay, well,
she missed us both. So I hope you're feeling better. But thank you. And there's more super chats in there. I just wanted to say hello and thank you, Lisa. I'll get to your other super chats later on. But anyway, I don't know. It is like Groundhog Day every damn show. It feels like. Okay, so where are we on our? Okay, the Iran check-in. Oh, seems like about the same thing. It's either a little hot, a little cold. All right, moving on. I don't know. You sent me this story, which I thought is par for the course. This is Mike Lindell, the pillow guy.
Yeah, what's with the pillow guy all of a sudden?
Well, he's just doing what I think a lot of people on the right do, or really anybody, who has a business or is hypocritical. He's floating amnesty for illegal aliens. I'm a person of second chances. Well, I'm sure that these second chances affect his bottom line for his business.
Hey, he wants cheap pillow labor. And mattress labor. It's so transparently obvious, but the chutzpah of this guy, after everything we've been through with his support from Trump, to put this out there is disgusting. Fuck Mike Lindell.
I agree. And by the way, you know who else was a little bit on this course? This whole thing of I'm suddenly sympathetic and all that was MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, with her construction company.
Right? So they're not sympathetic. They're not sympathetic industrialists who are paying their freight, need cheap labor. What do you think? We're fucking retarded?
Yeah.
Sympathetic. Give me a break.
And he wants the 6-month amnesty for illegal immigrants if he's elected the Minnesota governor. By the way, I don't know how to handle this headlines, but it is mind-blowing. The woman, and believe me, I'm not supporting this. I don't like anybody who says the N-word. I think it's rude, it's uncalled for, etc. But the one who got into it with the Somalian and the kid, and I guess the kid took her bag and she was saying, hey, N-word, or whatever. And he was like, hey, you say it. And she said it. Well, in Minnesota, this woman, I forgot her name, the chat may come through for me, was just convicted
of what? Of
calling somebody the N-word, which technically is freedom of speech.
What is the crime? Is that in the Constitution?
What is it they called it? They kind of are trying to say it's a disorderly conduct. So in Minnesota,
weird. It's
okay, and you can be pardoned if you're an illegal who does things to a child that I can't say because I'm on YouTube. Shiloh Hendricks So if you do bad things to a kid and you're illegal, the governor will pardon you. But if you get in a squabble, or somebody gets in a squabble and they use shitty language, no doubt.
What if she called him a
should be
different
convicted.
name? I mean, is it about name calling? I mean, is that a crime? I mean, they
Well,
ought to
they
put,
tried to say it was disorderly conduct and fighting words. It was a
if
4-day
they
trial.
had the courage of their convictions, they would pass it through the Minnesota Senate and Assembly that certain words are illegal, but they don't have the courage or the convictions, nor the law on their side. So they're operating in a quasi legal fog, simply pulling something out of the air to convict a woman for saying a word they don't like.
I agree, and I don't like it either. But I mean, I know the circumstances that the kids were stealing something out of her bag, or the kid was stealing something out of her bag allegedly, and all that going on. But I'm like, just say you're rude, go away. 4-day trial. She was in jail for
Insane.
4 days. There are murder trials that get,
No. When it's a crime going in the other direction, and this is not even a crime, but like we pointed out with the hammer guy with Paul Pelosi, these minor felonies are sentenced to life imprisonment. The guy who killed the Democratic Assemblywoman or state Senate person in Minnesota received like 19 life sentences. Vance Boelter, a very, very dicey, weird case. Him claiming that Waltz wanted him to take out Amy Koshabar. There's a lot of meat on this bone, but to avoid that meat, they always sentence the people who perpetrate crimes against them to completely over-the-top sentences versus rapists and murderers, like Eric said, who are released without bail. It's so extreme as to be insane. The two extremes, Eric.
Yeah. I agree. 2 consecutive life items plus 40 years.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's not a draconian sentence. I don't know what is.
No, I mean, it's an appropriate sentence for first-degree murder. I'm not going to, try to say that he should, go free or anything else.
No,
he did
of
murder in
course not.
cold
Of
blood
course
and
not,
is
right.
a psychopath, whatever. But yes, he will.
Is
be
it possible they want to bury this guy in a gulag for the rest of his life so this story is not looked at? Whatever his story is, he was apparently, from what I remember, a professional assassin based on his security force and being in South Africa, being around the world. He did this for a living, and we're just supposed to think, oh, well, the guy cracked and there's nothing to it, and let's move on. He was sentenced to 9,000 years in prison. I have a conspiratorial bone in my body that says, you know what, there might be more to this story.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird case,
right?
I mean,
Eric, it's crazy.
Even the footage showed the professionalism. He had that
Absolutely.
kind of crazy
Absolutely.
mask that didn't do anything. But
he said the reporters should ask Tim Waltz. They will not do anything about these statements by him in his letter, which the media just said was a rambling, crazy letter by a madman. That did not read like a crazy madman's letter. He was taking direct action against Tim Waltz.
Yeah, the whole thing it was kind of confusing to me. Actually, they didn't spend a lot of time on it.
He ends up usually in the cases of the deep state, they end up with a volunteer lawyer who defends you to bury you with the deep state. They did it with Sirhan. They've done it with so many different cases, including the Mansons. And I think that's what happened in this case, where the guy says, all right, this is the only defense I can come up with. I can't really get into your questions about Tim Waltz. And that's why they have these defense attorneys who are deep state in the bullpen, who they call on to come out and defend these sketchy cases.
Yeah. Innisfat said, didn't the guys involved in the Whitmer kidnapping get off? I always like that terminology. There was a mixed bag. Some of them, I'd say most of them ultimately were not convicted. I think a couple of them were actually convicted, though. I don't remember all the details of it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. We've got another one. Actually, when you're talking about, throwing the key away and everything, what about the Shapiro arsonist? He got
there's a bunch of these.
That one.
How about,
I mean, you see,
how about the guy that threw the fluid onto Ilhan Omar during a press conference? Where did that guy go? Remember,
I don't think he's been to trial yet.
Well, what about Paul Pelosi's hammer attacker who was given life imprisonment without parole or whatever he got over there because he was in a house with a guy who's a drunken psycho who keeps crashing into cars, but he gets life imprisonment as well.
Right. Well, I just wanted to bring up like the Shapiro arsonist because arson is obviously a bad crime.
Yeah.
And he needs to go away for a while, but that seemed to be more extreme versus, a double murderer, assassin. I'm okay with multiple life sentences. That does kind of add up in my mind. But I think their sentences weren't that different.
Unless he was hired by someone, then I can't go with double.
Well, then
sentences.
I want them too. I want him and them to go away for many life sentences. I'm fine with that. Or even the capital punishment would be okay, depending on the who, what, where, when, why. All right. Well, this is a little less life and death, but it can feel like it. Your gubernatorial hopeful Xavier Becerra is saying that if you really want to have a taco,
whether you are new to our state and visiting, and we hope you do spend some money, and if you're going to buy a street taco, buy a real street taco, not something from one of these
fly-by-night operators that pay taxes.
I'll leave it at that. All I know is that there's real food in California, and there are real street tacos, and you don't get them in some establishment that's been around for a long time. You get it
Why not?
on the street
Why don't you get them
from the guy who's been making it for a long time in his little cart.
Yeah. It doesn't even make any sense.
No, I mean, it's obvious pandering, but it gets better because I have a tweet to follow up on, and it describes literally what I think you were talking about too. Here is a place that sells Mexican food. You can see it right here, burrito, you got breakfast and stuff. It's a little bit small on your screen, but you could see it. And so you're looking there. Okay, oh, look at that, nice restaurant. You can go buy Mexican food, all there. Or you can go right across the street and look at that. They've got the tent and everything all set up there, just stealing the business. No taxes being paid whatsoever. That's for that business. They get to pay the taxes.
Yeah, and the people in the restaurant are paying taxes so this guy can operate with impunity across the street. Like I said last week, my Uncle Louis turned over a Sabrett cart hot dog vendor stand in front of his restaurant because he kept showing up every fucking week. And my uncle turned the cart upside down right in the middle of 42nd Street when I was working there as a kid. This is a thing that's been gnawing at restaurant owners for decades and decades about having street vendors in front of your restaurant or somewhere in proximity of your restaurant. The idea is there are restaurants and people are going there who are hungry. And all of a sudden they go, all right, let's just grab this incredible street taco over here and fuck that guy, with the actual sit-down restaurant. This one's cheaper and, they have no health inspectors and they have nothing else. And we're illegals. And we've been out here, not like Becerra says for years, but for 5 fucking minutes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the funny part was, he's kind of implying that the restaurants, which have been there for years, quite often decades, that they're garbage. That you got to go to some.
Oh no, he's actually saying that, and these are Latino-owned family restaurants that he doesn't give a fuck about because they're Republican. Usually, as business operators, they vote Republican. So he is again pandering to the illegal alien on the street.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. Most businesses tend to be at least somewhat conservative. They may not be Republican, they could be Democrat, whatever, but they do pay taxes. That's the first sign. It's like, what is a conservative? Well, it's a liberal who's been mugged, or it's a liberal that's paying taxes, or there's a million and one things. Or Winston Churchill, if you're young and not a liberal, you have no heart. If you're older and not a conservative, you have no brain. So,
well, these, like I said last week, the County of Los Angeles is now buying the stands for them. So they will, because to prevent in other words, to prevent the restaurant owner calling the police saying there's an illegal vendor in front of my fucking restaurant, now the guy can whip out his business ownership from the city of Los Angeles to prevent that. Isn't that nice?
lovely. I again, this is really confusing to me, because it's like there was at one point a common language, and you disagree about prescription or policy and things like that. Now we just disagree about reality.
Well, I don't know if it's a disagreement. I think what you're seeing is head-butting of capitalism into socialism. And you're seeing these two systems now banging heads for the first time, literally everywhere, every day, visually on the street, in the news, in the papers, and in office spaces. So you're getting to see that friction, especially in New York and LA, but even in smaller cities around the country.
That's true. And
I mean, he came out yesterday, Mandami, and said, obviously, I can't arrest Netanyahu after that was one of his major campaign promises. However, he did sick his troops on the United Nations. And believe me, his troops will show up at the United Nations. And the New York City police force published today that they're extremely unhappy about him calling for protests. The mayor, not an organization, the mayor of New York calling for protests at the UN. And Lord knows there's been a lot of protests at the UN over the decades. But the New York PD is completely spooked by the mayor himself with a huge bullhorn, Eric, calling out his green and red troops to try to get at Netanyahu when he goes into the United Nations.
What do you think is going to happen? We get somebody in the chat.
No, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be a fucking riot out in front of the UN. That's what the police said. And I agree.
No. I mean, do you think Netanyahu's going to go there to spite them, to deliberately say, I dare you to do this? Or is he going to avoid it? I'm literally asking because there's questions whether Netanyahu's going to speak at Lindsey Graham's funeral as well. Because
I don't know about Lindsey Graham's funeral, but annually the leaders of the world come to the UN in the fall to speak. And he will do it again like he's done every single year. He's also meeting with Trump down in D.C. So he'll be on a mini tour, which he usually does when he comes to the UN General Assembly speaking thing. But they're going to go batshit crazy trying to get at him. And that was unnecessary. Mandami is actually fomenting a riot.
I know. I don't know.
It's crazy, Eric. It's crazy.
Well, I know. And he was actually elected. I mean, there's so many problems. And that's what I was trying to say, that we used to quibble about prescriptions. Now we're quibbling about reality. Like, I mean, the whole communist angle, what he's doing, these things are beyond the pale.
Again, like I said, it's communism banging into capitalism straight up now. You know, since I was for 35 years, I've been saying these two systems cannot coexist in the same nation state. And one has grown quite large, which is the DSA and the socialist movement. And now you're seeing the results of two different systems under the same roof. They can't coexist. I think the DSA has to be outlawed by Congress as a start, because it's just going to get worse.
Well, again, I think a lot of that's the Democrats, but they need to be crushed. And I was just thinking, in my lifetime, I'm 50 some odd years old, I haven't really seen that. It's been propping up. We're seeing the rebuilding of it. It's like, everybody had collective amnesia to how bad communism is. Enough people died off. I guess the World War II vets, almost all gone. And this is what we have to face. But it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, when FDR was told he had communists within his own administration, he laughed it off. those laughs now have proven to be completely facetious, because Soviet documents that came out years later indicated that his entire administration was penetrated by the communists.
Yeah, he also liked the fascists too. He wrote love letters to Mussolini before we were in war
Well,
with them.
I think those might
yeah.
have been Trump-like letters. I don't know if he really loved him that much. They might have been like Trumpian.
Could be, but
Yeah.
a lot of the a lot of the the lefty principles of Mussolini and the sticks and the
Yeah, no, you're right.
No, they like the
You're right.
philosophy and principle.
You're right. But it was usually the American right banker capitalists that had embraced Mussolini, and including one studio head who made a wonderful documentary about him. But as for FDR, that was his administration was on the far left and was penetrated by even further left cats who were going to run for vice president and everything else. And then he was replaced by Truman, the vice president candidate for his, I think his fourth term, was an avowed Marxist. I'm talking about Wallace.
Oh.
Yeah, and the Democratic Party removed Wallace at the last minute and inserted Truman.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
I haven't followed all of his VPs. Didn't one of them die? FDR's.
I don't know about all his VPs, but the one that I'm referring to was in the agriculture department and was later proven to be a communist.
Hmm.
Oliver Stone loves Wallace. There's a lot of people who love Wallace.
Of course he does.
Yeah, it's a lot of people who love Wallace, but FDR didn't see a problem with it until the Democratic bigwigs said this may be an issue in the fall.
What is it? The Green Red Alliance can be seen in the Stone household with his son who converted to.
It's probably the epicenter.
And the it's like,
it's
oh,
probably,
there you go. The Stone household.
The epicenter of the entire movement is.
How about we have the Stone versus Stone? Roger Stone versus Oliver Stone. The Stone showdown. That, of course, confused. What was it? Boebert? Out of Colorado.
Let's move on. What else you got in the hopper there?
All right. Got this clip here about problems with the DNC.
Ooh.
Welcome back. Democrats poised now to make South Carolina the first 2028 primary. A DNC rules panel has just approved the change moments ago, ending Iowa's decades-long run at the front of the calendar. A final vote on this expected at the DNC summer meeting taking place next month. That will solidify the Dems' first primary since 2020.
Now, that is a big deal because that obviously feeds in for Kamala and whoever's like, Buttigieg, if South Carolina's first, you just
No, you're right.
You're
right. They're going full Kamala now. The DNC is backing Kamala Harris by this move. New Hampshire legally in their state charter says that they have to be the first primary. So I don't know how this squares. They're going to penalize, again, they're going to penalize and ban anyone who campaigns in New Hampshire, because the New Hampshire state law says they must be the first primary. They will ban, they have said this before, and they're going to say it again. They're going to ban anybody from the debate who campaigns in New Hampshire to undermine this backing rigged system that Eric is pointing out. This is a rigging again. This is a rigging again to now, because of the enormous black population of Democrats, Democratic women in the state of South Carolina, that would ensure the nomination, or at least the primary victory of Kamala Harris in that first in the nation primary. That's why it's being done. That's called rigging. Do not be confused about what's going on here. They are now putting their eggs in the Kamala Harris basket. Yeah, that's it. They're showing their hand. It's Donna Brazile and all of these black church ladies who show up on buses to vote in South Carolina for these primaries.
It kind of makes me wonder, because I have a lot of questions. Like, number one, you said in New Hampshire, their constitution says that they're first. Well, it's like, okay, your state says, I don't care what, we're first. Well, there's 49 other states that may say, screw you,
right? But
first.
It never happened. Right, you're correct, but it's never happened because it's enshrined in their state law. The Democratic machine has respected that. until these past two presidential cycles where they told them to go fuck themselves and penalized anyone who campaigns there. I mean, they think about how crazy that is. Think about how crazy that is. I mean, it's nuts. Pete Buttigieg now should sue the DNC for violating the state law of the state of New Hampshire because he's going to get 0 votes in the primary in South Carolina, ending his political campaign the day it starts. And if it was New Hampshire where it's supposed to be, he's the front runner. Now you tell me,
you combine those
Iowa,
two.
you tell me what this schmuck is going to do. He'll do absolutely nothing because the Democratic Party is the Communist Party and they are ruling this like a Soviet Politburo. He will accept his fate or get out of the party. They're rigging it right out of the gate, Eric.
Well, and the weird part about this is where is going to be the first Republican?
Oh, that I don't know.
Well, and also, I mean,
It's usually not as demonstrative because they don't vote as a block and live together as a block, in some sort of corner of the earth.
No, I understand that, but I'm just trying to say you could have a weird convergence here. And who's to say that New Hampshire won't say, okay, South Carolina, oh, it's January 21st. Okay, so ours is going to be January 10th.
That's happened
And
before also.
anyway.
They could do that also. And then the Democratic Party cuts off all funding to any candidates who go to New Hampshire. So it becomes a hammer no matter what. It's a no-win situation. They will determine where. It's not like they will determine that it's going to be in Utah. They are determining the candidate's victory because of the real on-the-ground pragmatic nature of their Democratic black base. That's what they're doing. It's called rigging the primaries.
They're known for it. So.
Yes, but this is the first time in this new cycle where it's demonstratively being done. So it's a great holiday for us. They've exposed their iron fist once again for democracy, their favorite word, to be controlled by them in an office in New York.
No, they've already demonstrated. Like, look at Maine. Plattner, did they have a primary? Did they have another vote? No, they said, okay, we're gonna have a convention. Okay, here's our guy. So, but moving on, the Democrats are famous for
right.
this.
Okay, but that is state politics. Here we're talking about national here.
But it's still the Democrats. It's their pattern.
No, I understand, Eric. I get it. I'm just saying this is a national move by the DNC. What they're doing here, and it's quite creepy.
Well, it was creepy in 2020 when they when Biden, when they said, okay, South Carolina, this is the one that counts. Biden won, you're out.
Right. But also, the news-making takeaway of this thing is that Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I take away from this. If they're putting their money and their weight behind this person of color, the guy who should sue is Gavin Newsom.
Well, he should sue, but I would argue, and Spicer was arguing too. Who the hell are the senators in New Hampshire that are rolling over on this? What are they doing? They're kind of like, well, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, first of all, it just happened, so we don't know what the response is going to be.
Yeah, he was also being critical over Virginia because Virginia's trying to shove their way up into the line themselves, but it's not Mark Warner or Tim Kaine who's doing it. It's Terry McAuliffe. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, jockeying for third or fourth doesn't have the impact of the first massive victory that Kamala Harris is going to have as the official front runner after the South Carolina primary. And also, apparently, New Hampshire takes weeks to count, Eric. I didn't know that.
I thought it was the other way around. New Hampshire doesn't take that long. And that's part of why they were saying it should be New Hampshire.
Oh, I heard it the other way around.
Okay, well, we'll have to verify because
we'll have to verify that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
One of the reasons that New Hampshire was a popular state and first is because it's so small that it gave the opportunity for candidates to talk to almost every citizen of a state completely. So I haven't heard that.
Well, it's also very white.
That's the criticism of New Hampshire and also Iowa. So I don't know. So instead, you're going to have South Carolina, which is actually a red state, being the first one, which is weird.
Right.
But, okay. Whatever. That's where their kingmakers are. So,
yeah.
Let's go back to L.A. And you sent me this one. Looks like homelessness has increased in L.A.
They covered this up as long as they could. A few extra months, probably 4 months of covering it up. But the figures were released yesterday. And apparently, despite billions and billions of dollars spent on homelessness, the numbers went up. No surprise to anybody here. We believe the numbers went up a lot more. 8%, the 7.9% that you see at the top of the screen is everybody who's homeless. Like, who gives a shit about 3.4%? The total is people living in their cars or boxes or refrigerators. That's 7.9. And the people without a car to live in or a rundown engineless Winnebago is 3.4. So I'm going to go with the 8% increase, Eric.
Okay. I don't know. I never knew we differentiated that. But okay.
Yeah, no, they actually do. They actually do.
So are they trying to say that that couch surfers are one type of homeless? So if you go,
they don't
from
go as
house
far
to
as
house to
couch
house,
surfers, but they do go and count people living in their vehicles. So that is a count, and it's usually these.
But that's in the 8%.
Yes, that's the
so.
8. That's the 8.
Yeah.
Which people use as the real number. And we believe that the 8% increase is also fallacious, and it's much more than that. But the increase itself undermines not really Karen Bass, although the media is focused on Karen Bass. The woman in charge of homelessness is Nithya Raman. But Bass is getting all the incoming as the mayor, and she's hiding out somewhere. The mayor doesn't run the homeless situation in LA. The city council does. And Raman is the person in charge of the homeless crisis of the city council. So this is her ballywick in a lot of ways, but it's a pox on both their houses, actually, Eric.
Right. And probably
Bass immediately blamed Trump for cutting off funding a couple of weeks ago. But this count is every year. The count was in February. Keep in mind that he cut off corrupt money literally a month or two ago into the city of Los Angeles because of the corruption that they found with Nick Shirley and everyone else. But that's fairly recent. She's using Trump as a scapegoat now.
Well, it is kind of a nice deal, and a feature, I would say, of TDS that it doesn't matter what it is. You say Trump, it's like, what? Trump is like the new climate change.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'll be like, okay, there's extra murders. Oh, well, that's climate change causing a butterfly effect. Well, I think that's what we have with Trump, right? Because Trump is in office, any ill of the world can be associated with him, obviously. Right?
I just want to get back to you on this thing. New Hampshire's vote counting is relatively slow historically because of its highly decentralized system, reliance on paper ballots, hand counting in small towns, and rules that delay processing absentee ballots until way after Election Day. So despite the size, apparently these minuscule areas within the state of New Hampshire sit on this stuff for a long time. I don't know if that's true in the primary. I sort of heard that this week out of the back of my head, but I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. It says small towns have limited staff or older equipment. Write-in votes and overvotes require manual review and can create bottlenecks. Results are reported locally first and aggregated upward, which also adds additional steps. For what it's worth, I don't think it matters, to be honest with you, but there's something that goes on up there internally because of their decentralized system.
Okay, I mean, if that's
somebody brought it up,
I can't think of a single primary in my lifetime that they said, "Oh shit, we're still waiting on New Hampshire." You know, it was like, you know, literally the big news was, you know, oh, such and such just won New Hampshire, be it McCain or whoever down the line, Kerry, blah 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 blah, and Iowa. You know, it's New Hampshire, Iowa, and you know they pretty much you knew that evening.
You know, it could be the forces that are pro South Carolina who are smearing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm sure
I don't know. There could be the forces in South Carolina that are smearing the live free or die stage for their own reasons.
Well, it could be. And I just was looking while you said that. And it's like, you know, the voting closes at 8 p.m. and it's usually, you know, at night that you find out. So I'm like, again, I ask you, and I ask the chat, does anybody in their entire lifetime remember New Hampshire being a delayed count on a primary of a presidential election? I can't remember. It's always the headline. It's like, oh, such and such won New Hampshire. Are they going to hold it?
Good point.
So, but anyway, whatever. That's just anecdotal. Speaking of back to LA and your good times here, Spencer Pratt shared this here. It is another water main burst.
Updating breaking news in West Hollywood, where a second leak has been reported just 2 miles away from last
Another
week's
leak.
water main
That's
break.
a leak.
Scott Reif is live over.
Oh no, that's considered a leak here. That was a minor.
Tony, this brings in huge questions about the infrastructure or pipelines in this
Really?
area. This is about 2 miles from the other
Water leak.
Show you. This is on Santa Monica Boulevard in Laurel. There's a lot of water going downhill, but we don't
know how to get across town anymore because Santa Monica is parallel to Sunset. So people couldn't use Sunset because it's closed. So people were using Santa Monica. Now Santa Monica's closed. People are going further and further south just to get across town.
Wow. This is
Not only that, there were 7 additional water main breaks because, as I reported last week, there was a water main break 2 feet down the line from the one they repaired on the same pipe after they submerged it in concrete, Eric. So in other words, they put the repaired pipe back into the ground. They sealed it, you know, using acetylene torches and metal and everything, wrapping it around the leak, had it in the ground and started to push the concrete crap on top of it and to seal it off with metal plates. And all of a sudden they noticed the water rising again as they were finishing the job. And it sprung a leak about 150 yards down the pipe, same pipe.
If these are leaks, what's a deluge?
Well, that's a leak. That was a smaller leak, but the deluge is what we saw from Sunset Boulevard last week. That was a deluge, but there are smaller ones like that one.
Okay, well, I mean, there's quite a bit of water there. I'm like, when you see, you know, all the sidewalks are covered, all that covered. I mean, we have.
We could weather that, but we can't have multiple east-west routes closed for extended periods of time. Just becomes complete anarchy.
I guess so. All right. Well, speaking of anarchy, and you know, Spencer Pratt posted this as well. He was talking about how American regulators approved the Paramount-Warner Bros. Merger. Yeah. Now the European Commission has also approved the merger, and they hate America and anything right-wing or whatever else. So nobody has a problem with this merger, apparently, except for, you know, Gavin Newsom and his buddies.
Okay, so apparently the merger is over. Paramount has conceded they will wait 1 year and allow them to be sued in court for the rest of the entire year, putting the merger on hold today, late in the day. Okay. And Paramount will never take over Warner Brothers. The deal runs out June 2027. So giving them a year to sue. June of 2027.
Oh,
600.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, 2027. Okay. Giving Warner Brothers $650 million per quarter is the penalty that Paramount now has to pay Warner Brothers because the deal was not finalized as was the schedule. So every quarter that goes by for the next year, which Paramount agreed to today, is going to cost them $650 to Warner Brothers every 3 months.
Well, I know about these back out deals, like when you fail to close it, there is a penalty. which, for example, happened with Adobe. Adobe was buying a company, and they got shut down by the DOJ, and they had to pay I think it was $1 billion.
Yeah, this has more,
which, by the way, helped the company rebuild everything and become a very worse competitor to Adobe. But
this has a lot of ramifications because Paramount's concession allows them to be sued by the 11 blue state attorneys general, and they feel confident that they will win in court. However, there's a ticking clock of June 2027 where the entire deal ends. So all they had to do was find a federal judge who they liked and then tie this case up in court, and that will be the end of the deal. Because eventually they're not going to want to keep paying $650 million each quarter. And they may be legally correct. But even if they win the cases, the deal runs out June 2027 anyway. And that's the end of the deal that they now put. So the Netflix leftist cabal, including Rob Bonta, the Attorney General of California, plus the other 11 state attorney generals in the blue column, have now been victorious and will raise money for their campaigns off of this, that they defeated Ellison and Trump in the takeover of Warner Brothers. So it is a huge, huge victory for the far left in terms of using their judges to, you were correct about who was ruled on this, and so was Spencer Pratt. However, getting a federal judge to block this, that, like you said, the penalties of time built into the deal will force Paramount's hand.
What I have trouble understanding is why I feel like they're kind of rolling over on this a little bit, by saying, "Oh, well, okay, we'll delay the time," instead of just going.
They were overwhelmed. The judge controlled the entire thing. There was nothing they could do about it, except
there was no higher court.
As far as I know, this is where this thing is settled into this court. They've decided to fight it out in court, but I'm saying fighting it out in court is what they wanted, these state attorney generals. They now could tie them up the entire year and run out the clock. They have been victorious in what they set out to do, whether I like it or not. Warner Brothers will eventually file for bankruptcy, in my humble opinion.
Right,
and they will
going to go away.
Right. No, they'll be taken over by Netflix, which is what this is all about. This is, again, federal judges running the entire country in a critocracy, Eric. It's terrifying.
I do wonder, because some of these deals, when you see them get stymied or whatever like that, because the same thing happened with AT&T trying to buy Sprint, if I recall.
Right.
And then that fell apart, and then it wound up a lot of times nobody winds up at the company. The company itself, because Warner Brothers is in such desperate shape.
Well, they didn't say a word.
Everybody would get the scratch.
They didn't say a word when Disney took over Fox a couple of years back. These are not mergers of happy campers. Warner Brothers is hemorrhaging money and cannot survive without a takeover. This is not like two equal partners merging, is what they're politically spinning it as.
No, I understand that.
Right. Well, a lot of Americans don't understand it, unfortunately.
But what I'm saying is, I could see this being like a JetBlue trying to buy Spirit Airlines. Where's Spirit? They're gone.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen by a certain point, there won't be anything to take over.
Except American Airlines, if they were interested, could have taken over Spirit. But in this case, they are putting their hand on the scale to help Netflix take over Warner Brothers. And it's all about the perpetuation of CNN. Apparently, that was a line that no one was allowed to cross, was the takeover of CNN. And that's why they went to battle.
Which is interesting. It's like, why not? One thing Paramount could have done is just cut out there, CNN. It's an independent company.
I know, but why should they? Why would they give in at all?
I don't know. Well, it looks like they're kind of half. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah. I think everybody's going to wind up suffering even more. And Netflix is probably going to be getting an empty bag in the end.
Well, they want the streaming service and the library. It's all about the library.
But while we're talking about your friend Boelter, I had this here.
You're considering a lawsuit against the state's Democratic Attorney General. They say Rob Boelter has rewritten a ballot description for a voter ID initiative in a way designed to sway voters. Senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse takes a look from Los Angeles.
This initiative will now appear on the November 2026 ballot.
More than 1 million Californians signed petitions putting voter ID on the ballot. But what voters see and what they signed are different.
It is to make people confused and to work and undermine the election process.
Supporters say State Attorney General Rob Boelter stacked the deck against them. Here's why. The original title for Prop 39 said it establishes additional voter identification and citizenship verification requirements. Tuesday, the Attorney General changed it to prohibit citizens from voting unless they present government-issued identification.
He is framing this as prohibits citizens from voting for a reason. He is framing this in the language in summary now that says bans mail-in ballots.
Here's what he's talking about. The original summary said it requires voters to present government-issued ID at the polls or the last 4 digits of a government-issued ID number when voting by mail. The new language says it prohibits voting by mail without a government ID, invalidates mail ballots if the envelope doesn't include the 4 digits of that ID, and prohibits voting in person without a government ID. Changing require to prohibits and invalidates, critics say, changes the meaning.
We're fulfilling our duty. It
Look at this
accurately, fairly, descriptively, informatively.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this has happened before, but this one is so draconian. The Republican Party in California has sued over these things. The state controls the wording of the ballot initiatives. Once they're on the ballot, they then can write whatever the fuck they want and have written some of the most insane descriptions of ballot initiatives intentionally to undermine or promote them, sometimes in the reverse, Eric. But this undermining of it, the way that wording is, I'm assuming that the Republican Party in California will go to court over this, which is not the first time that this has happened. But that one is really draconian.
It's just bonkers.
Yeah. But who's going to vote for that, the way that's worded? You go into the ballot box and you see that wording, that's going to sway 40% of the voters just by the way it's written.
Well, evil doesn't mean stupid.
No, but the Supreme Court sure does. They could have resolved this entire thing themselves. Instead, we're left to all of this electioneering, all this machinery being moved around, all this propaganda, because they didn't have the courage of their convictions to make a pro-ruling, anti-ruling, any fucking ruling. They just can't be bothered with the most important aspects of the entire society they've been selected to oversee as judges.
Lovely.
Yeah, you got an operation about some corporation in Delaware, we'll rule on that immediately. You got other stories that you want us to look at, but the big ones we really don't want to get involved in.
No, not the ones that are going to be
Right.
controversial,
Right,
or
yeah,
scary,
yeah,
or
right. That's why you're there, you pieces of shit.
Yeah, of course, that is part of the question about the security and making sure that they're secure. It does make you wonder if that's not leaking in. They don't see what Mamdani is doing, and was it? I think it was Kavanaugh that was very closely under threat. Where they,
yeah.
So I don't know if that is a factor, but I kind of sometimes wonder if that isn't scaring a couple of them.
I mean, there's an article I sent you. I think it's for the local show afterwards about the increase in threats against elected officials.
Oh, yeah. I think
yeah. We'll save it for the after show.
For the torn from the headlines.
Torn from the headlines. I literally tore that from the headlines this morning.
All right.
With my scissor. I use a scissor now.
Goodness. Right. I had this one for I wanted to talk to you about this because I was like, what? There is a female hiker who was found dead on the Big Sur Trail with a cut on her forehead, marks on her neck.
Mm-hmm.
The conclusion of what killed this poor woman, though, is shocking. They said that it was caused by probable alcohol withdrawal seizures.
Yeah.
Due
Yeah,
to chronic alcohol use disorder.
Yep.
Can you go into that and what this means and it's about?
Yeah, she also, keep in mind, she also forgot to take her bipolar meds. This is a chick who's had alcohol abuse issues and mental problems for years. She went into a place up in Big Sur where I have been. There's actually not hot tubs, but whatchamacallits, natural hot springs that you can hike into from portions of Big Sur. The hike is pretty long, can be about 20, 25 miles in for the hike, which is what she did. She ended up being found on the trail dead because of the, kicking the alcohol. I believe she probably got lost in the woods. It's a little confusing back in there. And she didn't have her bipolar meds, and she had a long history of alcohol abuse and went into seizures from alcohol withdrawal, not intentionally, but by being in the woods and being lost, she didn't have access to alcohol. So the DTs, the delirium tremens that she went through, she probably hit her head against the rock, which didn't kill her, these different things. And then the bugs got at her and some other animals.
That just sounds so
sad. Yeah, dying of alcohol-related deaths are not pretty. They are definitely not pretty.
And the idea, though, of dying from a lack of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems almost kind of backward. I had heard about that, and I had heard speculation that that's what happened to Amy Winehouse. People kind of blasted me and said, no. She
drank herself to death. The opposite.
Was drinking again.
But this woman didn't have access to it because she was deep in the woods. She probably brought a flask in or a bottle and it ran out. And then, after a day or a day and a half, began to get DTs. And, combined with bipolar disorder, she probably spun out of control pretty quickly.
Now, I think you've told me that they, even in rehabs because of this, that they'll give a beer or something when they come
Yeah, you
in,
always do. Yeah, you take all your friends go to rehab. You got to bring beer with you in the car. Like when you're taking your friends in, you got to bring them beer because they'll have DTs. They'll go into shock. Absolutely.
What do they do in the rehab? Do they
Valium.
medicate them
Valium.
or something?
Yeah, with Valium. Yeah.
Valium.
Usually Librium is the drug of choice, but they're both benzos. You got to give them Valium or Librium to avoid the DTs. So there are people in town here who have stashes, who are interventionists, who have stashes of Valium and Librium that they use when brought onto the job of trying to get someone into treatment who's specifically an alcohol abuser. The other drugs you can turn off and on. I mean, you can detox from heroin all you want and kick. It's gnarly, but only alcohol can really kill you through the DTs of alcohol withdrawal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think I read somewhere that alcohol is kind of like a final point for a lot of people. They go from drugs to finally just alcohol.
Yeah, because of accessibility and other issues. Yeah, and then from alcohol, the people who are true alcoholics who can't drink anymore because of the physicality and effect on the liver. There's a little bit in the weeds, but once you pass a certain point of 20 years of drinking or whatever you did to get there, the liver reverses itself on how it processes the alcohol, and you get drunk on 2 shots and you're in a blackout within 2 drinks. And you used to be able to do 35 drinks. Late stage alcoholism, the actual processing of the sugar and the alcohol in your liver flips a switch where your liver is trying to protect you. So you become drunk on 2 drinks. And I don't mean just drunk, I mean blackout drunk on 2 drinks. So after you've done that for a while, socially, a lot of people will turn to cannabis to replace the alcohol.
Okay, I was wondering what they did at that point. Ugh.
But they are not happy about the cannabis because it's not alcohol. So occasionally they'll go back and try drinking again and get arrested or something will happen. The cannabis is merely a pacifier for true alcoholics.
Wow.
It's dark, bro. It's dark.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dark. All right, well, let's get back to something more pleasant and dark in a less sad way. And we have this guy here who is.
You gotta love Charlie,
speaking-
right, Eric?
Yeah,
that's Charlie LaDuff, everybody, out of Detroit.
So let's hear Charlie. I might have to skip around a little. It's like a 4-minute video. We're not going to watch all this.
Right.
But
Out in the deep, thick country of Michigan, looking for one Elizabeth Waffle, 88 years old, donated nearly $150,000 in the last 5 years to Democratic causes. This is one of El Sayed's micro donors. Doesn't look like the Taj Mahal by any.
Micro donor, $150,000. That's a hell of a micro.
Well, he's being facetious.
I know.
Yeah.
Come along. Where's the house? Okay, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, call somebody. Ding, 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 ding. Hello?
You're fucking nuts, Charlie.
Wow.
Here's a walker. Hi, madam.
Okay.
Pleasure. My name's Charlie. Are you Elizabeth Waffle?
Yeah.
It says here that you've donated $150,000 in the last 5 years to various campaigns, and that you've made nearly 15,000 donations.
I doubt it.
Want to see it?
15,000, yeah.
15,000 separate donations on the computer. Did you make 15,000?
Does she even have a computer? I mean, I'm not.
You have the
being facetious.
internet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Donations in 5 years? $150,000?
150? Hell no. I don't have that kind of money.
Do you have internet?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Do you have a computer?
No,
No? So how could you make all these donations?
I don't know. Are these all mine?
Yes, this is now there's 900 pages. I ran out of paper to print.
900 pages. God.
Yeah, all of these.
I have bad knees, and then I went out and sprained an ankle.
All right, well, folks, go check that out. I don't want to,
Yeah, I mean, this was exposed also by Tom Fitton and some others, including James O'Keefe. This is how they funnel money to ActBlue, which is what Charlie LaDuff is doing. That Charlie LaDuff is an independent journalist out of Detroit, and what he's doing is showing her the printouts by ActBlue, utilizing her name to illegally funnel money to Democratic candidates through ActBlue. And not having one or two people's names as making 15,000 donations, Eric, adding up to huge amounts of money. And they're usually, every one of these that I've seen is usually a senior citizen who's oblivious to this, of course.
Yeah, we've seen this before with James O'Keefe was
Yeah.
out there and with somebody. And
yeah,
this may not be completely related, but there's like a similarity there. The whole ActBlue, I feel like there might have been ties with USAID.
Oh, yeah. They took the Fifth Amendment when testifying before Congress, remember? They kept taking the Fifth.
Well, something else was in the news. I meant to play this on Tuesday, and it's kind of tangential, but with possibly USAID. I don't know if you saw this, but rap music.
Oh, I did see it. Good point. Yes, go ahead.
Vanished from the Billboard Top 40.
Gone.
Boom. Yeah,
Gone.
instantly.
Gone. First time in 30, 40 years. Absolutely gone now. Not even a music. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. It's all country now.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what? Well, country.
Again, we're not talking
Swede.
about, just for the people in the chat, we're not talking about the quality of the music. That's not what we're analyzing here.
No, it's a genre thing. It's like literally the most popular genre in the world, and by rap I mean rap, hip hop, whatever. I'm not educated in all that, but yeah, it's like all of a sudden not a single song in the entire top 40.
Well, as Tim Poole points out in that segment that Eric has there, USAID was linked to various cultural upheavals around the world in various countries, and were found to have been shuffling money to promote various cultural things in various countries. And Tim is hypothesizing here that the reason this 1 month after the demise of USAID, this happened.
Yeah, let's see.
So they were doing it here as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
We had all this music. Billy Corgan says that there was a conspiracy. There was an effort to turn down the volume on rap music. rock music. He said, some believe it was CIA, but that's above my pay grade.
Billy's been mouthing off a little bit lately. He said a couple other things about the industry.
Yeah, no, he's hip to it.
Oh, yeah.
Him for this, even though he never did say, said some people believe it, but what do I know? And I think it's a fair point because some people do. Maybe it was USAID. Rap music just vanished from the Billboard Top 40 for the first time in 35 years. Strange. A couple of months. So this would have been about 4 months after the shuttering of USAID. Rap disappears from the Billboard Hot 100. Interesting. Now I want you to think about that Oprah performance. That Black Eyed Peas are there, and there's a big crowd, and on camera, it looks like everybody loves this band. And the song is played on the radio, and it's put in the playlists, and you will listen to what they tell you to listen to.
I agree. And by the way,
we're not getting into the music part of it for copyright things. What he points out in the video is that the 1,000, 2,000 fans are hired to be in the audience and dance in synchronistic fashion and clap for the Black Eyed Peas. They were hired to do this. And I know that, people like Alex Jones were criticized for having, fake actors at various sites of crime.
Crisis actors, I think is the
crisis actors. These are crisis fans who have been hired to make believe they are a real audience. This blew my mind. I had no idea this was going on, that they paid over 2,000 people to be phony fans at this concert by the Black Eyed Peas in Chicago.
It's funny because this is a template that's been used before and may have just been used over this past weekend for the Odyssey. I saw that there's
interesting
that apparently for some reason all the pre-ticket sales were gone. Like nobody could buy any tickets to see the Odyssey, but then the people who did manage to get up to the box office and get tickets, they walked in and there weren't that many people in the theaters. So they're trying to think, how is this movie doing so well when they're not seeing them? Are you seeing footage of them lined up around the block, like you typically do with movies? Remember Star Wars, all these, or iPhone or what have you, we got the lines. You're not seeing any lines. You're not seeing anything else. And it was actually Tim Pool again that kind of pointed that out. It's interesting. Remember that the New York Times best-selling list has long been known now to be completely bought and paid for, where they have warehouses of pre-sold books and everything else and an entire system to guarantee a bestseller. It appears it's possible that may be leaking into movies now, because that is something that works. And then you mentioned,
except somebody's got to be buying those tickets, I think, right? Or no? I mean, the person who runs the theater gets 50% of the money from the studios, so they would have
but if you do the pre-sales of the tickets, if the studios themselves feed into that, it's kind of like a marketing expense. Maybe that's part of the new marketing
how could they make money though if they're paying?
Well, they're hoping on the back end that the buzz is going to actually do it. It's like kind of a laundering of the money.
Could be.
I don't know. I'm not an expert, and it's something I hadn't thought of, going industry to industry to industry like that. But if they're forcing it to be a bestseller.
Getting back to the original rap story, they promoted rap around the world, USAID. So that's been established by Doge. And Mike Benz has exposed this. If you want to really learn about this particular cultural investment by USAID, by the dark side, the deep state, Mike Benz is the guy to go to, because he was telling me about this a year ago. I was watching his stuff about a year ago, and when USAID was taken down, he was showing the concerts and money, our tax dollars money that they were putting into Bosnia, Uganda, South Africa for rap concerts like this.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's conclusive, and people are pointing out that tickets went on sale a year ago, and IMAX is I'm like, all true, but the argument is that they were all sold out before anybody even could get them. So it's weird.
Well, there's also the musical genre problem now. Like, what rises to the surface, just getting into the weeds of the demise of rap. I mean, Diddy is in jail for a reason. You know, maybe Diddy, this is part of the takedown or the elimination of rap and hip hop, Eric.
Could be. And everybody who's saying, oh, good riddance, it's like, that's kind of not the
That's
point.
not, as I
the
said at
idea
the
is the
beginning of the
manipulation
segment,
of the market is a little scary.
they just can't get it. It's too complicated. Let's move on. It's too complicated for them. Sorry.
It's fine. Anyway, all right. Super chats make me happy. So, teals and alibis. Okay. No, tea, lies, and alibis. Interesting. With a super sticker. Thank you. We got Pamela out of Texas. Thank you. And as I mentioned earlier, Lisa Franceschi is back, and it's super great to see you here. We know very damn well that millions of illegal aliens vote in our elections. I don't know if it's millions, but it's the right people in the right places. You know, it's like all these things are determined on the margins. They don't need millions of votes. They need hundreds and thousands strategically placed. And then Lisa said, get your custom coffee. Absolutely. Get the best coffee possible. And Lisa has also become a new member. So
Right on, sister. Welcome back.
We do appreciate it. K-Dog. Do we really live in a time where AOC can be elected president? And if it happens, can we all move to Mark's private island?
Well, she's ahead in the nomination, but I believe she's going to be a vice presidential pick by the anti-Kamala forces, who need a woman of color to offset the Kamala forces. So I think she is going to be quite willing to cooperate to be the vice president. It's no skin off her teeth if she wins. If she loses, she can then run for Chuck Schumer's Senate seat if she wants. I mean, there's no downside for AOC doing this.
No, she's got a perfect trajectory, and she just barely got old enough.
Yeah. And not only that, where was she? She was in South Carolina using a Southern accent for a reason.
And Kamala has been visiting the
lives there now.
DSA and
No, but I'm
making
saying
visits.
Kamala doesn't have to campaign in South Carolina.
No.
You know, she's perceived, despite being Indian and Jamaican, she's perceived to be a ghetto Black woman who rose out of the ghettos of Oakland, actually born and raised in Toronto, I believe. And her mother was a brain surgeon, but she has created a phony narrative, like they all do, that she was a child of the ghetto.
Yeah, a revisionist history. Yeah.
As you call
They
it.
literally have rewritten, and they even have replaced her mother, and that she was raised by a Black neighbor, or like
Yeah, the mother
babysitter.
didn't
So
work anymore, so they jettisoned the mother.
Yeah. So
And the father hates her guts, and he's a Black Jamaican professor, and he's denounced her because of her embracement of cannabis. But I get it. If you lose by 2 million votes to Trump and Trump's not on the ballot, there are people talking to her saying you can do this. And they're not wrong, Eric. They are not wrong.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't true, but if you take Trump off, I think you're going to lose far more than 2 million votes.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but I can also, I wouldn't be surprised completely if AOC doesn't try to do in Obama what he did with Hillary. Because remember, I mean, it was Hillary, and he just kind of snaked off the side and took it out from under her. So that may be a plan.
It could be,
too.
but Blacks are not going to roll for AOC when they're with Kamala Harris, and the base of the party are Black women. So that's the problem with AOC ascending on her own against a Black woman. It's also the same problem that Newsom has if she decides to go in. And as people pointed out, Wally pointed out last week, she could have walked into the governor's race and become governor of California. But apparently her ambitions are greater than that.
What'll be scary is that it's possible she could pull it off and not even debate, not even a campaign, do the Joe Biden in the basement campaign, which worked great for him.
Yeah, I think that's their plan. And just hope that, you know, the drop off in massive Trump support is more than 2 million voters.
which it well could be because there's a civil war going on with the
right. Of course.
which is being stoked by people in there, are pretty much allies. Anyway, Mike Schaefer, let's call it free enterprise rather than capitalism. Okay.
I don't care what you call it, but
communism versus capitalism.
It's easier to say communism versus capitalism than to put in the word free enterprise in there.
True.
Just as a communicator, I'm just giving you some advice.
Section 808, or Sec 808. Democrat voters need to realize their vote hasn't counted since 2008. I mean, the Democrats have had this lock in there with the superdelegates for a long time.
Yeah, it's also those superdelegates who were loyal to her in the last cycle are still superdelegates loyal to her in this cycle. It's an uphill climb. I mean, for people opposing it.
Yeah. And I think it's the only reason that the Democratic Party hasn't completely imploded or eaten itself is it's built-in protection. They literally have the party itself. It can't be reformed. The Republican Party has been reformed multiple times.
Right.
Reagan did it with the Reagan Democrats, and he reshaped the party. Trump has reshaped the party.
Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich with the Tea Party.
Newt Gingrich. Well, Tea Party's after him, but yeah, with this contract or whatever.
Contract with America.
But yeah, that it is kind of made to where it can kind of be redesigned, be more libertarian, less libertarian, what have you. Let me see. William Ratcliffe. Do they have a homeless spreadsheet? No, but that's a good thing. It's kind of hard to count exactly how many homeless are there really. So the numbers could easily be much bigger, as
Mark said. I mean, it's a volunteer program. People go out at night in February for about a week, I think. I forget how much time, but then they go into various nooks and crannies and count these people. How accurate that is, I don't know, but that's the current standard of census taking for homeless. There's one, put him down, Bob. There goes one. He's trying to get away.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Is that one in the car there? All right, let's put him down in the car slot then.
All right. All right. I've got a rumble rant here from King of Biltong saying, skip the gas station junk food while traveling. Packed Biltong from Biltong USA. Clean protein. Packed grass-fed, air-dried beef with great flavor. Go to BiltongUSA.com. Code AUS for 10% off. He had a typo and picked the wrong code, but it is AUS for 10% off. Pirate Ken. Ahoy, mates. A quick thanks for a great gathering in California. I even came away with a great tan, especially for a pirate.
Awkward for a pirate, but you're on board the ship all the time, so you're going to get skin burnt and a lot of sun on board the deck of the Scallywag, the USS Scallywag. But yeah, it was great to see you, Ken.
Blitzen. Look up Floodify Stealth Marketing Company.
How about you tell us and save us the time? We're doing a show. What do you want us to do? How about you tell us with another $1 from your pocket so we can understand this thing and move on?
All right.
Thank you.
I have a feeling that they're involved with the publishing industry.
Right.
Patriot Biker, sorry, has been a member for 18 months. Another great stream, guys. Thank you. Well, thank you, Patriot Biker. Sec 108. Everything about the movie Odyssey is about the Oscars, including writing, casting, fake critics, and sold-out tickets. It will win the Oscar.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, he's a darling of the Oscars. Is Christopher Nolan. It's not his first trip to the rodeo. Dunkirk was unwatchable as a World War II movie. As a war picture, it was unwatchable. And
I watched that. It was sterile. That was
the
best
that's his thing. That's it. That's his thing. Yeah.
Sterile. It just is like, okay. Everybody is
Oppenheimer. The people who reviewed this, who I listened to, just kept saying about the audio track and the music track and the editing, how bad it was, how every single technical part of the film was complete amateur hour. And I remember that with Oppenheimer. I could barely sit in the theater because it was so loud and deafening. in terms of the score and the overall sound of the movie. And either he agreed to that, or it's just technical errors. I mean, it was you couldn't even breathe in Oppenheimer. And also, I mean, Dunkirk, like you said, was completely sterile. He indicated during the making of Dunkirk that he wanted everyone to look alike. So it was some sort of a theme that all the soldiers are the same. So he cast everyone who looked alike to be the soldiers. So you couldn't follow the fucking story because you didn't know who was who.
And you didn't care. You're kind of like,
well, that's
okay, are they gonna die? I don't
that's
know.
a result of not having individual actors who were different that you could follow. He went and met with Spielberg. This is a year before he even started making Dunkirk, and Spielberg set up a screening for him in his home of a film called Saving Private Ryan. And Christopher Nolan, according to Christopher Nolan, was completely crushed. He said, I can't compete with this, and did what he did to rejigger the film that was coming out, the one he was working on, which was Dunkirk. Because he said, Saving Private Ryan was the definitive World War II movie, and I don't even know why he attempted to do it. He thought that he could make another Saving Private Ryan, and realized that once he saw it with Spielberg, that he didn't have a chance to compete with that film.
Yeah, well, I agree. It doesn't compete. William Ratcliffe, hopefully Elon will do a tell-all on fraud.
Well, he did a tell-on with that British journalist this week where he was very, very snappy and quick.
Well, he's done it before. Remember the New York Times reporter where he said, go F yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, this one was pretty good.
Iger or whatever.
Well, she at one point she was saying how many people hate him, and what do you think about all the hatred against you? And he says, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, I have over 1 billion followers, so some people like me. He said, what you don't understand is how many people hate you. And that was a great turn of events right there. And she looked like, oh, she was shattered by the idea.
Yeah, he could be pretty good. He did that again with another reporter when the guy's like, well, you diploma. He goes, name one. Name one instance. When he was talking about the Twitter is a toxic cesspool and this and that. And he said, name one tweet. Yeah. Name one example. And again, the guy was completely stymied.
Well, Trump seems to be going after the EU now about their fines against him and other social media heads. So this thing's not over yet.
Good. All right, Greg, LPC. Didn't Kamala bankrupt the DNC? Mark, ever do a show on Harry Truman, A Mixed Legacy?
I don't think she bankrupted the DNC. I mean, she had more money than Trump did for the election, but it's not a question of the DNC. It's a question of mega donors deciding who to give money to.
Right. And we've done a little bit on Truman with the assassination attempt on him, and the Puerto Rican episode, I think, goes a little bit into him. If you look into, the catalog, there are some things, but not directly, not an episode just on Truman.
Well, there's also the Bombs Away Curtis LeMay episode that touches on the Truman authorizing the use of the bomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Okay, right down. There we go. Perfect. All right. Well, we are going to head over to Locals, and on Locals, you get to see Torn from the Headlights when it happens. You don't have to be delaying it. You don't have to wait days to see if you're going any part of it. Hang out with the crew there and check it out. And I hope to see all of you over there momentarily.
Okie doke. I'll see you there. Wow.